The True Ambition podcast with John Zink is brought to you by IT Avalon. IT Avalon, IT staffing and professional services done right. Visit our sponsor at itavalon.com. Now, welcome to True Ambition.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Ambition podcast. My name is John Zink, and I'm honored today to be joined by Mr. Kevin Armato. He is the Director of Damage Prevention and Compliance with PG&E. And he's my neighbor.
Yep.
So thanks for doing this. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
So he's got a bachelor's degree from Cal Poly in mechanical engineering. And where did you go to, which Cal Poly was it?
So I went to San Luis Obispo, but I've actually got an older daughter who is going to Pomona. So I have love for both Cal Polys now.
Keeping it in the family.
Yep.
So speaking of family, married to Nicole, and the kids are Kylie, who's in college, Gracie, Ellie, and Chase. And being a neighbor, you got the best freaking kids ever.
Thank you.
So who's the disciplinarian? I already know the answer to this.
Yeah. I didn't know that question was coming. I try. They listen to Nicole a little bit better than me.
I think everybody does.
Yeah. That's a very true statement.
Now, as everybody can hear, my friend Kevin has the most infectious laugh ever, and it's the best.
Thank you.
So we'll get together with neighbors and sit around, and we just have the best time. And it's been an honor and a privilege being your neighbor.
Thank you. Yours too.
So you're Bay Area born and raised in Santa Rosa.
Correct.
Wine country.
Yes.
Let me ask you questions. Okay. A serious one.
All right.
Red or white?
I'm a red guy.
All right. So is my wife, as you know.
Yep.
She likes the heavy Cabernets. What do you drink?
I like cabs. Yeah, that's normally what I would go to. But, I'm not a big wine guy for, being Italian and growing up in wine country. You'd think I'd drink more wine, but I don't.
It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you know, I don't drink anymore.
Right.
But it's like I always watch everybody drinking these. In our neighborhood, I watch everybody drinking these like $100 bottles of wine. I'm like, you can get a bottle of Jägermeister for like $16.
Yeah, exactly.
Same effect at the end.
Yep. Very true.
So growing up there, what was your childhood like?
It was actually a great place to grow up. The town's obviously grown a lot since I grew up and changed quite a bit.
How big was it back in your day?
I think when I was growing up, it was probably around 60, 70,000 people. It's pretty small, and I think it's over 200,000 now, pretty close to 200,000. It's grown quite a bit. So,
okay.
Growing up for me, it was, go play outside. You didn't have to have your mom and dad watching you. We just play outside all summer long. Come home when it's dark. Great sports, As
soon as the street lights come on, you better have your ass home.
Exactly. And that was just for dinner. Then a lot of times after dark, we'd go out and play, hide and go seek in the dark or whatever else. So, so it was a great place to grow up, great neighborhood. And like I said, we had some good sports. You had your soccers, your basketballs, your baseballs. So, playing sports and good schools. So it was a great town to grow up in.
So you got siblings?
I do. I have one younger sister. She's 3 years younger than me, and she actually still lives in Santa Rosa.
Okay.
And she's a teacher there.
Awesome. What you'd mentioned sports. What sports did you play?
The biggest sport, like growing up through high school, was basketball. I kind of played everything when I was younger, but actually played basketball in high school. And then actually what I was really into in high school was jet ski racing. So I used to jet ski race and just the Northern California tour and then state championships and stuff. So that was a lot of fun.
Did you ever flip them?
I tried a lot of times and was pretty unsuccessful, but we did ride out in the ocean a lot. Most of that's all banned now because we live in California. But back when I was in high school, we would ride, off the coast under the Golden Gate Bridge, in Dillon Beach, a bunch of places like that are now banned. And
so you can't ride out there anymore on a jet ski?
No, the counties and banned like 2 strokes. I don't know. It's been a long time since they've been banned, so I don't know exactly what the ban reads. But when I was in college, they started banning them.
Are they trying to protect a fish?
That's what they claim. I don't really know.
The bullhead. Protect the bullhead.
Yeah, exactly. But, we're not doing any damage. It's a jet ski in the midst of a huge ocean. Right. And there was only a handful of us that actually, really rode in most of these places. So
I can guarantee those humongous ships that are out there don't hurt anything.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun riding in the ocean. That was a blast when those waves are coming in and you're 20 feet in the air. It's a rush.
I would never do it.
Yeah.
Sounds scary as hell.
We had some injuries and some, bashed up skis, but it was worth it.
So what brought you to Brentwood, California?
So actually we moved out here a few years ago. I think we're going on year 3. So a couple reasons. We were living in Petaluma. That's where Nicole and I first settled down after we got married. Great town to raise kids in. But PG&E moved their headquarters. I used to be out of Walnut Creek and moved their headquarters to San Ramon. And so I have jobs. I travel a lot all over, but you end up at headquarters quite often. And so that commute home from San Ramon to Petaluma could take 2 hours. And it was, really crushing a lot of family time. In addition, we started kind of looking around and saw the houses that, in the neighborhood we live in and, what we back up to. And everything else. And, they don't build houses like what we have out here over in Petaluma. So we fell in love with the house. We fell in love with the area. I had a lot of employees that worked for me and people at PG&E that lived in Brentwood, and everyone raved about it. Schools are great. Sports are great. And, we've loved living here. Well, we haven't looked back.
Yeah, it's a cool area. And we all, our neighborhood backs up to like an open field, and right now the cows are out there and stuff.
Yeah,
a couple coyotes. Some of them been shot. Some of them haven't.
Can't confirm or deny.
No, complete deniability. But some of them, I've heard a couple of them talking. They've been shot. So now you're a super positive person. Mm-hmm. How do you stay so positive?
Well, it's actually an interesting question I never really thought of. It's a choice, right?
Well, I ask it because a lot of people who are watching this, there's an onslaught of news. There's an onslaught of social media. There's an onslaught of everything coming down, like the world's ending. Mm-hmm. Everything's horrible. It's actually not.
Right.
I'm a pretty positive person myself.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is talk to people like yourself and go, okay, how do you stay so positive? Because maybe some other people can take some lessons from you. Mm-hmm. And go out and make some of those changes in their life.
Okay. Well, first off, it'd be disingenuous if I didn't admit there are times I'm not positive, right? There are times, like you mentioned, where I do get caught up in the news or some bad stuff that maybe happened at work, or I don't know, a number of things that do drag a person down, and it's normal, right? So it's more about how do you get past that and how do you, stay positive afterwards. So, majority of the time I'm positive, but there's still some times I'm not. So a few things, exercise, I think, is a big thing. If I don't, get a workout in, I've just, if I don't feel good, it's hard for me to, stay positive. So, getting any kind of exercise, even just hiking in the hills behind us or going for a walk, especially right now with a lot of gym closures, it's been tough, but I think exercise is something that clears my mind. And then really just looking at the positive side. If I like being positive. So, and when I look at something, even people bring me problems at work, it's like, I'm glad you brought that to me because now we can fix it, right? Having that type of outlook is something I enjoy doing, and I don't want to be negative. If I'm, so negative all the time, I'll just have a miserable life. So I just try and look at everything from a positive perspective and just have that mindset. And even, assuming positive intent, someone told me a long time ago. And I really try and live by that. So, people don't come to work being like, I'm going to screw up today. This is going to be a blast. I'm going to get in trouble. Something bad's going to happen. This is going to be great. Sure, there's a couple bad apples here and there, times people go through. But most of the time, people are there trying to do their best. So assuming positive intent is something I really try and live by as well from a work perspective.
Well, that's great because there's many people, and we know some of them, who are in a bad mood all the time, and the world is horrible. The sky is falling.
Yeah,
it's not bad at all.
No,
and if you just keep a positive outlook and you keep the positive around you, that's why I like to have you as a friend. I try to keep as many people like you in my life. Mm-hmm. One of our neighbors is Gary.
Yeah,
Gary's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah,
he's always on the positive side. Even when he's talking about something negative.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
It is.
So if anybody can take from what you just said, it's just like stay positive all the time. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you start digging into the negatives, you can go down that wormhole quickly.
Exactly.
And never come back out.
Yep.
So another question is, and I kind of know the answer to this already, are you a regimented person?
I used to be a little bit more regimented, but since working from home and being so flexible, a lot of my routines kind of got uplifted, I guess you could say. I'm not super regimented though. I mean, a lot of the reasons why I came to PG&E is because I knew I didn't want to do the same thing every day for the rest of my life. I didn't want to wake up, get a coffee at this place, go to this office, sit in this chair from 7 to 5. That's not what I like to do. So I like to move around, do different things on a daily basis. But like I mentioned, I always try and, get, coffee in the morning. That's important. Try and get. I know. That's what I'm worried about.
All right, so we got to tell a backstory here. But this is our neighbor Gary. There was a surprise party for Gary, and we were on our way back to Gary's house with Gary in the car. Kevin's in the car with me, and we're calling Gary's wife to tell her that we're on the way. And she answered the phone, and I go, "Caw-caw, caw-caw," as if to tell her that we're on the way. All I had to do was say we're on the way, but I decided to say caw-caw. So about 3 days later, Kevin's in the grocery store with his kids in the checkout line, and I'm walking by with Johnny, and as loud as I can, I go, "Caw-caw, caw-caw!" And that was the laugh I heard. So now every time that Kevin and Nicole are on their way to Starbucks in the morning to get coffee, he sneaks up on me as much as he can and out the window yells, "Caw-caw!" And it's the best part of my day. Yeah. And when I caw back to him, I scare the shit out of Johnny. Yeah. Sometimes literally. Yeah. So it's the best. Yeah. So you already talked about it a little bit with working out, but what are some of your routines that you do every day?
Definitely, I get coffee every day. So being home, I try and find time every day to go to coffee with Nicole at some point. It might be at 5 in the morning because I got a bunch of stuff going on, or it might be at 8 if I've got a break after a couple meetings in the morning. So I try and always go to coffee with her. It's just a time for her and I to have 20 minutes to ourselves without the kids, especially since we're all in the same house right now. To just chat and connect without the craziness of everything else going on. So that's been kind of a new routine I've started during COVID. Like I mentioned, try and exercise as much as I can every day. Some days I'm better about it than others, I'll be honest. And then, I think that's the main thing. Oh, and then having dinner with the kids. So I mentioned earlier, I travel a lot for PG&E, obviously not as much right now. But when I can, I still try and get home by dinner. So, a lot of people will stay the night if they're going somewhere far. For me, I'll get up at 3 a.m. to get down to Fresno by 6:30. Work a full day there, get out of there by 3, so I'm home by 6 or 6:30 for dinner. So I try and make it a habit of connecting with my kids at the end of the day at some point. Normally over dinner to see how their day was. So those are some of the main ones that I try and live by, and then. Being a leader at PG&E, your day can go sideways pretty quickly. Sometimes depends on what happens or what comes up. So during the day, it's hit or miss on how well I stick to a schedule.
So when you guys sit down for dinner, do you guys do that thing where it's like, okay, all devices are gone?
Yep. No devices for sure. And we have a couple of go-tos we've tried. Tell us your highs today and your lows today. What'd you do at school? How was sports, things like that. So we all, chime in, have a pretty good conversation over dinner.
Perfect. Which of your personality traits would you like to change?
Wow. I didn't expect that one. I'm glad you didn't ask Nicole this question.
Can I get my phone?
Yeah. Let me see. I think one of the things that I'm trying to change, and it sneaks up on me here and there, is being here now, right? So, I try and spend a lot of time with my kids, one-on-one time with my kids when I can, things like that. And then, when I'm at work. So, trying to separate, especially right now, I've been able to not think about work, right? It's 6:30. I'm making dinner with one of my kids or something. Stop thinking about what happened that day or what you need to do tomorrow. So being able to, shut off a little bit better, the work stuff, to focus on the kids, like they can tell when I'm not there, right? Mentally. So yeah, I'm there physically, but they can tell my mind's somewhere else. So it's a conscientious thing that I'm working on changing, but I'm not to where I need to be yet.
Oh, it's something I need to do too. I find myself, I'll be out walking with Johnny. Mm-hmm. I'll be sitting next to him and I'll be on my phone. Mm-hmm. Emails coming in, and it's like we're so hardwired to be working all the time. And it's like it's uber important. Everything that comes in, it's like, oh my God, I got to answer this right away.
Yeah,
it'll be there in 3 hours.
Yep,
it'll be there tomorrow morning.
Exactly,
and nothing changes.
Yep.
So it's like I really need to take that same kind of thing that you're talking about, and it's like I really want to implement some of these things that I'm getting from these podcasts from people like you, just to change things to be a better person for them.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and for your team too, right? I do the same thing with my team. Like if I get a text from them at 5:00, hey, you got a minute? Can it wait till tomorrow? Do we have to take time away from our families? I know you're with your family. I'm with mine now. Is it that important? So trying to set that as a leader too, I think is important as well.
So we talked about it before. Your kids are so well behaved. How do you guys do that? How do you and Nicole get that? 'Cause I pulled up on the golf cart with my father-in-law, I don't know, a year ago or something like that. And when we left, he goes, my God, those kids are great. So how do you do that? Because that's what I'm looking to do with Johnny is, turn him into a good human being. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he's not.
They all aren't.
He's got this high-pitched scream right now. I'm like, wow, you're going to be a soprano. And it's just like, how do you get him to do that? So can you give us a little parenting tips?
Yeah, again, you should be asking Nicole this question, but she's a great mom. But, a lot of it is just teaching them to interact with kids, or teaching them to interact with kids and adults, right? So, a lot of times as kids, when we're in the checkout line, hey, ask the checker how their day is, right? Thank them as when we're walking away, say thank you, So teach them to interact with people, even just on normal day-to-day kind of transactions, right? Or, conversations that you're having with people. I think that's really important, and teach them to shake someone's hand and look them in the eye. That stuff's really important. And, quite frankly, it's been a little rough on Chase, when COVID first hit. He's so used to meeting people, shaking their hand, look them in the eye. And for the first couple months, he was really confused. He's looking at me and he's got his hand half out and he's looking around like, Dad, I don't know what to do. So I think it for me, and what I've been focusing on with them is just, really just having conversations with people. Don't be shy. Talk to people. People want to be talked to. And, through all of those interactions, I think with various people, I think it really helps when they meet someone new for the first time. They can carry on a conversation. They can shake their hand and look them in the eye and talk to them at least for a few minutes at a time. So I think that's really helped.
Okay. Yeah. Cause every time I pull up, it's a fun interaction with every one of the kids. I mean, Chase is just a dynamo.
Yes.
He's all over the frickin' place. Now, one of the things I'll talk about in the neighborhood is that, you are the neighborhood rattlesnake wrangler. So if anybody out there is having a problem with a rattlesnake, all you got to do is call Kevin Armato, and he'll be like that.
Yeah.
So
I drop everything.
So I was in the car one day, and Johnny's in the back seat in his car seat, and there's this huge rattlesnake out in the drive or out in the on the street. And I'm like, well, I don't want to leave Johnny in the car. Fact of the matter is, I didn't want to deal with this freaking rattlesnake. So call up Kevin, and he's there within 5 seconds. It's crawling into another person's into Tony's yard. Boom, took care of it like that. Are you scared of rattlesnakes?
Oh, I hate them. Yeah. Completely afraid of them. I hate snakes. Even venomous snakes are
Me too,
not my
can't
thing.
stand them.
Yeah, no, I hate them. So I just, I feel it's my neighborhood duty. Like, if I run across a snake out in the wild, I'm not going to kill it. Like, that's your spot. You're here, I'm here, no big deal.
Yeah,
but
our kids live here.
Yeah, in our neighborhood, I actually had one in our garage in the first year that we moved in. I, walked out to get something out of the garage, and out of the corner of my eye, I caught this rattlesnake on the ground. And quick funny story. So, we live in Brentwood. It's hot summer. I was just in, swim trunks. I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do? And so I keep cowboy boots out in the garage. So I pull my cowboy boots on and, because I didn't know how this was going to go with the snakes, pull my cowboy boots on, grab a shovel and, take care of the snake. And unfortunately, it kind of made a mess when I was there. And I'm like, well, I think Nicole's upstairs. I got to sneak in the house and grab some cleaning supplies. So I'm sneaking into the house in shorts and just cowboy boots. And she's standing right there. What's going on? I didn't want to freak her out and tell her what had happened.
Time to get frisky.
Yeah. I told her I'm sacrificing everything, even fashion for you.
I got it all, baby. Yeah. Check this out.
So yeah, they're a little problem in our neighborhoods from time to time. That's for sure.
So you've been at PG&E for how many years?
This will be 19 years this summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it must be a great place to work.
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
What's your favorite things about the company?
Well, for me, I think like I mentioned earlier, I knew graduating college, I didn't want to do the same thing all day, every day. But I didn't really want to jump around companies either. And so it's great to be with PG&E. I've had so many different jobs, but still been building my career all at the same time. So, I started out as an entry engineer. I went over to the gas transmission part of our business and did a lot of work in corrosion and integrity management. Then I, went to operations for a number of years, and then back into engineering, now back in operations. So that's one of the things that really attracted me about it was, being able to jump around and build a career within a company. In addition, I knew I wanted to live in Northern California. I knew I wanted to go back after college in Northern California. So that was attractive, the location. And then the other piece is, I didn't want to be an engineer that sat behind a desk, right? So I didn't want to just sit behind a desk doing designs. I knew I wanted to be out in the field, hands-on, and PG&E, that's what requires of our engineers. We got to be out in the field, do various testing and design work, and so I get to be out in the field as well as in the office. It's just a great mix. So those are some of the things that really attracted me, and then quite frankly, it's kind of a noble purpose, right? To provide energy to Northern California. I mean, so much awesome stuff happens in Northern California. And I know you're not allowed to use the word awesome, but I'll use it. So
I'm working on it, but that's awesome.
Just a lot of great things happen out of Northern California for the entire world, right? You look at our Silicon Valley and our Bay Area and everything else, all the ag and everything that comes out of California, just to, to be able to provide all of that energy to enable everything that California does is a great purpose.
That's cool. So what is your current role?
So my current role is I'm Director of Damage Prevention and Compliance. So what that means is I'm on the operations side, back in operations again. A vast majority of my team is out in the field. And what my team is really trying to do is to prevent dig-ins. So obviously we have a lot of our, pipes and wires below ground. And so we go out when someone's going to excavate, it's the law. You're supposed to call 811 before you dig, so that us and folks with other underground infrastructure can get out there and mark where our lines are before they dig. So my team, a lot of them do that locating and marking. So, as 811 tickets come in, they get out there, they mark it, so that people don't hit it. Then we have a number of support folks that help the overall damage prevention effort with, public awareness, trying to let people know about, calling 811, how to do safe excavation practices, investigate when we get damages. So a big part of my group is all dedicated towards damage prevention. I also have patrol too, that's kind of dedicated to damage prevention. So they're patrolling our lines, looking for people digging that, didn't call 811 first, so that we can get someone out there and stop them. Then I also have a couple really cool groups that basically are at the start and end of all of our processes within the gas side of the business. So I have a group that does all of our maintenance plans and operates kind of our work management system to be able to make sure all the right work gets done by our field crews. And then I have a group at the end of that does all the compliance checks and make sure all the compliance, all the checks to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and that our records are in compliance.
So how many people are underneath you right now?
PG&E only, it's about 450, but then I have a number of contractors as well. So it's a little bit over 500, I think, total.
Wow, it's a pretty big undertaking.
It is.
Speaking of everything that's buried underground, I mean, how deep is that stuff? I mean, for laymen that don't understand this kind of stuff, how deep is all of the different energy vehicles that you use to get stuff around?
Yeah, so it really depends. So, it depends on the situation. Normally at least a couple of feet deep, but there are times it is shallower. So that's why it's important to always call 811, even if you're just, replanting a tree in your front yard. You never know. The area could have eroded over time, and now your service line is less deep than you thought. So, but normally it's at least a few feet deep to try and stay below everything.
Okay, so the San Bruno explosion, that was crazy.
It was.
So, what were you doing at the time within PG&E when that happened?
Yeah, so actually at the time I was in transmission integrity management before San Bruno happened, and San Bruno was a transmission line, right? A large transmission line. Actually, when the San Bruno rupture happened, I was in the distribution integrity management side. So it's, the smaller pipes out in the street and the services serving people's houses. We have integrity management programs that take care of that as well. But I was immediately sucked back into a lot of the, transmission integrity work because, there was a need of all hands on deck.
A lot of people were.
Right. A lot of people were sucked in to try and, fix everything that we could, post San Bruno.
So looking back on that, what actually happened over there?
So what happened in San Bruno was there was a section of pipe that was actually a bend. So it was a bunch of sections of pipe welded together to make a bend in the pipe. And there was one section of pipe. There's lots of different ways pipe is made, but this particular pipe, the way it was made is it's flat plate rolled into a pipe, and then it's welded where that plate comes together. And this pipe was supposed to be welded on the outside as well as the inside, but for some reason it was missing that inside weld, and so over time that ended up rupturing because of just over time the action on that pipe with just half a weld on it.
So did the rupture actually cause a spark on the inside when that happened, or did something else spark it?
Yeah, I'm not super in tune on how that actually ignites, but you don't actually need a spark or an ignition source. When a pipeline ruptures, it can ignite just through the force of the actual rupture itself.
Oh, I see. Okay, so going through that, what did you learn about PG&E during that time? Because it had to be a really tough time for the company.
Yes.
So I remember I was living in Carissa and I were living in San Ramon at the time. And I'll never forget it because I was in bed with the flu. And I was like, oh, God. And then all of a sudden something blew up. I'm like, oh, God. And I was like, I'm dying over here with the flu. And I remember, and I called Carissa. I was like, you better look, because her family, a lot of them's from San Bruno, what's it called? Pacifica, that area. Yeah. So I remember I just called her. What did you learn about the company during that time as far as the way that they handled everything?
Yeah. So, after San Bruno, we got some new leadership into PG&E that really, really helped. And they just put all hands on deck to, fix, to make sure that another San Bruno doesn't happen again. So, I think what I learned was, with good leadership and a laser focus on safety, we can just commit to and complete a tremendous amount of work. So, the volume of work we did before San Bruno versus, shortly thereafter and what we do today, it's just incredible how much more work we do to ensure that the safety of our pipelines through testing, through, corrosion control and a number of methods that we've done. We've it's just been amazing how much that company can get done when it needs to.
Did you personally feel or hear any backlash as a PG&E employee from people when that all happened?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was tough to go through personally. Before San Bruno, you're proud to work at PG&E. It was a place people, are they're dying to get in. Every time you talk to someone, say work at PG&E, oh my gosh, how did you get in? I'd love to get in. Or I'd love for my son to get in there. It was a very proud place to work. And it was tough for a little while post San Bruno with that. And then obviously post San Bruno, for me personally, I had to, go sit and be interviewed, through a couple of court hearings and trials and NTSB and things like that, asking me questions about my time during the transmission integrity world. So going through that was difficult as well, and had a lot of, I wouldn't say backlash, but just, a lot of questions, and a very difficult place to be.
You were a kid during the 1989 earthquake, right?
I was.
So Carissa talks about it, my wife, and she was living over in Pacifica, and she tells me about it going on, and she was living like in a second or third level of an apartment complex, and her mom was driving home at the time, and she's like, Mom, when her mom pulled in, Mom, there's an earthquake. She's like, oh, you're over dramatic. You're going crazy. And it turns out like the next door neighbor had an eel that was in a tank, and the eel like came out, was sloshing all over the place. So then her mom did find out, yes, there was an earthquake, and it was crazy. I remember I was in the Midwest, and there was a big baseball game going on or something like that.
World Series, yeah.
Yeah. And big baseball game.
Yeah.
The World Series.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about it?
Yeah. So for me, I was, I must have been 10 years old. Me and a buddy were playing video games. And so Santa Rosa.
Like, this is really lifelike.
So Santa Rosa is, definitely like an hour north of San Francisco, but we felt it bad in Santa Rosa. So I know it was my mom and, my buddy's mom were hanging out in the other room, and they came running in, and I jumped up and ran into the doorway with them, and he just kept sitting there playing his video game.
I will not get beat.
I know. We're like, no, come on, it's an earthquake. Got to get in the doorway.
He goes, this is perfect timing.
So that was my story. But actually, Nicole's parents, they have a better story. They were actually at the Giants game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they have a whole story how they kind of got stranded there. One of them's limo driver took off and everything else. So there's some interesting stories from way back then.
Wasn't the Giants and the A's playing in the World Series?
Correct. Yeah, it was the Bay Bridge series, I think they call it. So it was a pretty historic, World Series to begin with. Nevertheless, then add in the earthquake.
So the reason I ask it is with PG&E, do you guys have like drills and stuff you go through for like huge events like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We practice all the time about, massive emergencies and how we respond to them. We do, drills with other agencies, right? Fire agencies and things like that. So we are very, we try and prepare as best we can for any situation. And we do that all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I figured you did. But my next question is about your current role. What really excites you about the job that you do today?
Okay. So the couple things for me that really excite me. So I mentioned earlier, I have a big background in integrity management, and I don't know why it excites me, but lowering risk on the system really excites me, right? After going through San Bruno and everything else. I mean, I was excited about, keeping our pipeline safe before, but that just, puts a whole another level to it, going through something like that. So, what really excites me is my team is out there every day, actively working to protect our pipelines. And, for me to be a part of that hardworking team that's just doing so much to keep our pipeline safe, both through maintenance and everything else is just a really cool place for me. And I really get excited about knowing that my team is right there to try and protect our pipelines, try and make sure nothing bad happens to them. So that's one thing. And then the second thing that really excites me about, my current position, is my team is just so critical, and I get to work with such awesome people. So just, letting them know how important their job is on a day-to-day basis, like how important every single thing they're doing today is to me, to the company, to the public that we serve. It's really exciting.
Well, I see it as just the passion that you've got about it when you're talking about it. I see it almost as an extension of what you do around the neighborhood. It's like as soon as somebody calls you for something, you're there in a heartbeat. And that same smile you got on your face right now is on your face when you come to do it. And I mean, it's putting lights up in the backyard, killing rattlesnakes, just helping out with whatever it is. You, much like me, you do it in a different way because you're much more mechanically inclined than I am, as everybody knows. But one of my favorite things to do is to help people out.
Absolutely.
And to make people smile. I play in a band to make people smile. Mm-hmm. It's to, all right, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin. His favorite song is Humpty Dance. So it's just to make people's day a little bit brighter. And you're doing it through your job. Mm-hmm. And so is everybody who's working for you. So as an extension of you, you've got all these people that are out there making a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
And it's a great thing. So to be able to do that on a daily basis, it's the name of the game. Yeah. That's what I do with my business too. Mm-hmm. If I can make somebody's day a little bit better, life's good.
Absolutely.
So speaking of jobs, when you were growing up, I know you had quite a few different jobs. Mm-hmm. What was one of your favorite jobs growing up?
Yeah, I had a lot of great jobs. Boy, it's hard to pin down one. I had two I really enjoyed that I'll discuss. So one of them worked for a welder. We had a family friend who owned his own welding shop. And so working for him, number one, he was a very charismatic guy, a lot like you, big guy, very funny, laughed a lot, teased me a lot. It was a great place and learned a lot, right? I really learned a lot about how to fabricate metal, weld, things like that.
Was it all kinds of different welds?
All kinds of different stuff. Yeah, it was just whatever project we need. I remember fixing stairs with him on apartment buildings or, adding gutters to something. I mean, it was just any kind of welding or, we put in, what do they call those? Tetherball poles, like just all kinds of stuff that people needed welded. They'd come to him in his shop. So that was a really fun place. And then the other one was I worked at a jet ski shop. So I mentioned earlier, I raced jet skis. So I actually worked for a local jet ski shop and learned a ton about, how to tear down engines, how to rebuild them, how to make them go fast. And that guy was a very impressive guy too. Learned a lot from him from a work ethic perspective. He was actually a elevator mechanic during the day in San Francisco, then commuted home to Santa Rosa and had his jet ski shop open till 10 o'clock at night. So I learned a lot about hard work from him as well.
Hustlers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the other side of it, what's the worst job you ever had? There's got to be one.
Yeah. So
some asshole you worked for.
Yeah, well, I think the worst job I ever had, and it wasn't because of the person. I actually worked for my piano teacher, and he was a great guy. So it wasn't about him. It was I worked for like $2 an hour. Cleaning. He'd pay me to clean his house, or they'd be sending out mailers for some upcoming concert they were doing. So I'd sit there and lick envelopes and lick stamps and send out 1,000 mailers. And then cleaning his house, cleaning the kitty litter box and dusting and stuff like that. So that was probably the worst, but I've been pretty lucky. I've got some great jobs, like I mentioned. The welding job, the jet ski shop. When I was really little, I started mowing neighbors' lawns, and that was a great thing because it was my dad's lawnmower and his gas, so it was just pure profit.
Did the same thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mowed lawns all over Mount Carroll, Illinois.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the great thing about being back in the Midwest is when it snowed, boom, I would rake in the money. I skipped school one time because my dad said, yeah, sure, go ahead. Uh-huh. I made like $300.
Oh, you're
back
kidding.
Then that's like $1 million to me today, right?
Yeah.
And I skipped school. My dad sent me in with a note the next day, and the John Kilpatrick, the principal, he's like, listen, you can't skip school to shovel snow. I literally said to him, I said, Mr. Kilpatrick, I think I made more money than you yesterday. Those were my words. And I walked out of his office. I don't know how much money he made back then, but I'm pretty sure I was right.
Yeah, I bet.
It was awesome. So what do you think about the state of politics in the U.S. today?
Whew, I didn't know you were going to get
fun
into that. Yeah. Well, I have very biased opinions on politics, but I think the biggest thing for me is that I really enjoy both sides, right? So I really enjoy, I have a lot of friends that are completely opposite than me, but we can go sit down, have a cigar, have a drink, banter back and forth, and it's a lot of fun, and I really engage with that. So I think the biggest thing for me is just how negative it is, and how both sides are just going after each other, and there's a double standard on both sides, and now they're censoring people and things like that. That's I think the most disturbing piece to me is that we can't even work together. Really, it seems like right now on both sides of the aisle.
I agree. I think that most people have no problem sitting and having a political conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians, media, all the stuff that are driving their agendas are the issue. Mm-hmm. Because I can sit with anybody and have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes to some things, but I'm also liberal when it comes to some things, and it's just like, I can sit and have a conversation with anybody. I can have empathy for everybody.
Right.
I can understand what somebody else is talking about, but when somebody's sitting there trying to cram something down my throat, like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
You're ridiculous.
Well, and different people have different things that are important to them, right? So something that's important to me, that's a political issue, maybe is of no importance to you, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's important to understand both sides. I'm like, well, that's really important to me. It's not important to you. Then, we can talk about it a little bit. I can explain my side, but, at the end of the day, we're still friends.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day, were you a good student?
Excellent student. I was actually valedictorian in high school.
Jeepers creepers.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't be any farther apart on that one. I had to be the bottom of the class, too. So I was always in the back of the class because my name is Zink. So I kind of told people I might have had a hearing problem. I couldn't hear anything. I was way back in the back.
Yep.
It probably more of a problem of I didn't apply myself ever.
Yeah.
Until like now.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
How did that get instilled in you? Was it tough for you? Was it something you had to study a lot, or did it kind of come easy to you?
Yeah, so it was pretty easy to me up until high school. High school is when like the math and the sciences and things like that I enjoyed, I actually had to study a lot more. I couldn't just walk into a math test and ace it anymore. So it was kind of difficult at that point. And then college was a whole nother world, right? Whereas, as an engineer at Cal Poly, you spend just thousands of hours studying. So, it was good to kind of set up that work ethic and those study habits in high school before getting to college. I'm glad it was a little tougher as I went into high school. But, for me, I saw it as a means to an end, right? If I got good grades, I could go to a school that I wanted to get a career that I wanted. So, I just kind of focused on that. Like, hey, if I do really good now, I'll have a great life later. So, so that helped. And definitely, I think, there were some things that came pretty easy to me. Like, there was a lot of classes in high school I didn't have to study for. I could get an A, no problem. But yeah, that was kind of the reason why.
Do you remember any part of your valedictorian speech?
I didn't give a valedictorian speech.
Come on.
Yeah, I looking back, I kind of kick myself kick myself that I didn't. I just was not a public speaker, and until actually coming to PG&E and realizing that was an issue of mine or shortfall of mine, that I wasn't very comfortable with public speaking and doing a lot to build on that. Back in high school, I was scared to death to do it, so I did not do it.
So did you have to take any kind of public speaking classes or what do they call that? Toastmasters or whatever it's called?
No, I never did that. I just, put myself in uncomfortable situations and got a lot of reps at it, and was lucky enough to have some, good bosses that gave me some opportunities, took a chance on me, and gave me actionable feedback to develop my, public speaking skills. I think one time we had these, used to, and we didn't this last year, but used to have, once a year big meeting with, all of the leadership team at PG&E gets together. And excuse me, I had to give a speech on that. I was picked to talk about all this exciting new stuff we were doing in leak survey and some of the new technologies we were using. And I was scared to death, but I did it anyway. And I remember walking out, the second day was at the Marriott in Oakland. And if you've been there, actually we were there together.
Yeah,
for
we were
something.
there.
And
Grant Cardone.
Yes, exactly. So I walked out on stage beforehand before everyone got there. I'm an early morning guy, so I get there, kind of get set up, want to see what I'm up against. And it was, the whole Marriott was all open. All of those dividers were open. It was just this ginormous room of tables and chairs as far as I can see. And I kind of panicked there for a second. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even see those chairs, how far back they are. It's going to be so many people. And so, going through experiences like that was what got me to be a better public speaker.
So I got to bring up a story here because this is a fun one.
Uh-oh.
So Kevin and I went with a couple of their friends to see Grant Cardone. And if anybody doesn't know who Grant Cardone is, he's a sales disruptor. He's a person who motivates salespeople to go out and sell more. He also does a lot of real estate investment, stuff like that. And he asked a question. He goes, how many people out there don't have to ever worry about money again? And do you remember what the guy said? There's a guy that stood up and he raised his hand. He goes, right there. And how much did he say he had in the bank?
50,000 maybe?
He said, I got 50,000. Yeah. Never have to worry about money again. It was the funniest thing ever. We're sitting there like, what? Yeah. And Grant goes, sit your ass down. That was still one of the funniest.
Exactly.
And then on the way home, we had to stop off and get a McFlurry. We had a McFlurry. And then, so in the back seat, you were in the back seat with Peter, right?
I think so.
Okay. So Peter is lactose intolerant. So we got a McFlurry, and then I'm like, that wasn't quite enough. So we stopped at another McDonald's, got another McFlurry, and Peter's like, no, I can't have one. And I ordered it for him anyway. And then his poor girlfriend had to sleep with him that night, being lactose intolerant. It was probably noisy.
Yeah, we got 2 McFlurries in the course of like 20 minutes. That was bad.
And we had a huge barbecue meal earlier
before,
that night.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We splurged.
50,000 pounds. Sit your ass down.
Yep.
So going back to school, it can be high school, college, whatever it is, even grade school. Who's your favorite teacher?
Oh, boy. I had 2 very influential teachers that helped guide me along the way. One high school, one college, so I'll hit them both real fast. So number one, I had a teacher, his last name was Rocklowitz, but we called him Rock. That was
Rock.
Back before the Rock, so he was the original Rock. And he was a teacher that really helped me realize I wanted to go into engineering. So I had him for a drafting class, and what he did was he kind of customized the class based on the student and what the student was interested in. So after we kind of got the basics of drafting down, he kind of talked to us about what we're interested in, got us to kind of figure out what we wanted to do. And then he, tailored the class to get some experience in engineering we even built a house. We learned how, to actually, frame out houses. And so we did these little models of framing and sheetrock and things like that. So he was very influential to get me to go into the engineering field and to really be excited and enjoy it. In college, I had a professor, last name of Zammit, Ron Zammit or Dr. Zammit. And he really helped me. He was a physics teacher, and I had him for a couple times of physics. And we got close, and he really helped me to learn how to problem solve at early on in my college career. Just how to think through problems and how to problem solve a lot of, very complex issues and problems that come up in engineering school, right? So physics is kind of a base course, right? Some of the physics and math and things like that before you get into the more advanced engineering classes. And so he really helped me to get my mind around how to think through a lot of those complex issues later on in my college career.
I think it's great when I've got a few different teachers too that just it's amazing as a child or as a young adult how we just bond with these adults.
Yep.
And it's both ways, right? Because they have an interest that you show an interest in, and then you become their pet project. And thank God for those people. They're the angels that show up in our lives.
Yes.
That put us where we are today.
Definitely.
You know, I've got multiple people from school, from career, from all these different things that if it weren't for them showing an interest in me, and you have to step up as a person when you're a kid too, for them to show that interest in you.
Right.
You know?
It's a two-way street.
What was the biggest event in your life, the whole thing, baby, that led you to where you are today?
Well, without hesitation, it was marrying Nicole. So getting married to Nicole, and then the life that we've built after that, as you know, partners in life, is absolutely the biggest event, you know, or series of events, however you look at them, to lead me to where I am now. She's just been an incredible partner. Very honest on feedback for me to help me improve. Or
I got the same thing at home, baby.
Yeah.
let me tell you about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Aye.
I know. And one of the things I was telling you about before too was, you know, now being home a lot for work, Nicole every once in a while will sit in on, you know, just be sitting in the office and just kind of being next to me and listen in on what's going on. And I didn't realize before how savvy she was in business. You know, she was giving me a lot of, you know, good feedback, strategy, you know, ways to deal with people that I didn't know she had because I never really saw her in the business world before, you know. And it was funny though at first because she doesn't care how things work, right? She doesn't care how the lights turn on or how the stove turns on. Like, she doesn't care. I'm like, you don't even know that pipe is round. How are you sitting in here giving me feedback on my job? You don't know me. You don't know my work, right? But after I kind of got over that and started really listening to her, she's been pretty savvy from a business perspective as well. So it's been nice having her around for that as well.
I have so much to owe to my wife, you know, and you've got to have that core strong person behind you, and sometimes in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, because Carissa's the CEO of our company. And, you know, I go back to the fact that I probably wouldn't even be sober today if it weren't for my wife, because she was just sick of my shit, you know, and if I wouldn't have followed that advice, I wouldn't have Johnny, you know, I wouldn't have this company, all these different things. And it's just like, if you just take the time to look honestly at the fact that this person might be right, you can make your life a whole bunch better.
Yeah.
You know, if you just do that. So, talking about your career now, who is the person or persons in your career who have most inspired you?
Well, I've got a laundry list of really good bosses that I've had at PG&E that were really inspiring to me. So, you know, I've had actually a lot of people that aren't at PG&E anymore. So I had, you know, Alan Eastman, Bob Fassett, Steve Redding, Ty Turner. Actually, a couple people now are way higher than me. Christine Kausert, I reported to her for a while. She's now my senior VP. Interim president right now, Samit Singh. I worked directly for him a long time ago. So I've had some really inspiring bosses. And I think the biggest thing with those people that I really appreciated is that they took the time to give me real good, actionable feedback to help me grow and be better. And that's inspiring to me. I want to grow as a person and grow my career and learn more. And so, you know, what those people did for me was, you know, well, first off, they took a chance on me. You know, a lot of these folks, you know, it was a quick interview or a quick interaction, and they're like, yeah, I see something in that guy. I'm going to put him on this. So taking a chance, giving me different opportunities. All those people gave me crazy, weird opportunities for me to show I could, you know, grow and learn to grow. And then, you know, giving me timely, actionable feedback that I could work with to grow.
Well, they gave you a chance to grow or fall flat on your face.
Right. Exactly.
So somebody saw something in you.
Yeah.
And I've had that same experience where it's like all they're really doing is giving you a chance to go one way or the other. And, you know, it's all up to us to hopefully go the right way.
Yeah.
You know, and thank God for them giving us a chance to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, so I've got kind of a weird one here. And my neighbor gave me this, actually Christina gave me this box of questions, and I've got this box of questions that I'm asking everybody. So this one is kind of fun. It says, do you possess any of the traits of your zodiac sign? You and I are both Tauruses.
Okay.
So people born as a Taurus are relentless and pragmatic and know exactly when to play their bullheadedness and when to use patience and tact in accomplishing their objectives. They are the ones to truly appreciate the joy in material things or enterprises such as watching a good movie or reading an enticing book. However, when they are installed in their own convenience, they hate being disturbed in any way or being hurried, especially when this is happening for something they don't consider relevant. Is that you?
Not a lot of it.
That's what I thought too. I'm reading this like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I know. I'm strong-headed all the time.
Yeah. Don't disturb me. The part that I did think that was me was, don't disturb me or hurry me with something that I don't think's relevant.
Yeah, that's definitely me. I'm a big proponent of, I hate fake deadlines, right? Like, oh, this has to be done tomorrow by noon. Based on what? Like, what happens at 12:01? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I've got other things that are more important than what you think. So that one definitely hits home.
Yeah. So I thought it was fun. I pulled up the Zodiac sign. I actually texted Nicole yesterday and said, what's his birthday? And I pulled it up and I saw that we're both Taurus and like, this is bullshit.
You should know. We did the golf cart parade for my birthday.
I know.
You should remember it.
I'm too important to remember anybody else's birthday except for mine. So what is a good book that you love that you think that maybe some other people should know about?
Actually, a really good book that I just finished was called Trusting Technology by Graham Binks. And I read it because, you know, for my team, we use IT a lot. Like, I don't have IT people working for me, but we're working with our IT counterparts. They've developed an application for us, and we work with them all the time. And some other teams work with them in a bunch of different capacities. And so Trusting Technology was a really good book for like a non-technical person like me. I don't know how to code, right? I wish I did, but I don't know that type of business. But to learn, you know, how to be strategic on leveraging IT and leveraging technology. So, you know, it taught me, hey, what questions to ask, how to, you know, set something up for success. So even though they don't work for me, I've used a lot of techniques that I learned in that book to help them help me in turn to be more successful in our application and some of the projects that we're doing together. And
it's Trusting Technology by who?
Graham Binks.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
I think the biggest thing for me would be hunting.
Not to say you're going to die soon.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, what do you know, John?
I'm older than you. So what's on your bucket list, young man?
So as you know, I'm a big outdoorsman. Obviously, that's slowed down with kids and a career and everything else. But probably the biggest thing on my bucket list, I guess there's two. From an outdoorsman perspective, I really want to hunt Alaska. That's like kind of classic, true bucket list, right? And a big experience. But another bucket list item that I have is going to Italy with Nicole. So, you know, we're both mainly Italian and never been to Italy. So that's something that, you know, after we get through kids and all of that we want to do a big getaway to Italy. So I think those are the two main ones.
Make it happen, bro.
I know.
Okay. So I know you like the Humpty Dance.
Yes.
But if you could have a front row ticket to any concert, who would it be?
I know you're a big music guy, and I was trying to prepare for various music questions. I'm not as into it as you. I love everything. So I listen to country, I listen to rap, I listen to rock. I mean, just everything.
You only got two front row tickets. It's you and Nicole. Where are you going?
Well, I think that's the other problem too, is I think who I would pick, she wouldn't enjoy.
She was sitting there like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I know. So my all-time favorite band from high school and on is Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, yeah.
They were just fantastic. And love really aggressive music when I'm going to work out or, going into a jet ski race or competition or, got a tough day coming on. I love really getting pumped up with aggressive music like that. But they don't really exist anymore. But if I go back,
they were going to come back out. They were going to play a couple of shows.
I know.
Before COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
And I looked up tickets, and it was like Rage Against the Machine ticket was like $400 or $500. I'm like, whoa. But in their defense, I think all the money was going to a charity. Mm-hmm. But still, come on. I'm raging against that machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would love to see him.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had a chance to see him except on, YouTube videos and stuff like that. But my God.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
So talented. So I'd be in heaven and Nicole would leave.
Right? So we'd leave Chris and Nicole somewhere, wine bar or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'd be at the concert raging. Another bomb track.
Sounds like a plan.
So, I appreciate you coming and doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you the same question at the end of this that I ask everybody. Mm-hmm. So, the name of this True Ambition came from a book from my 12-step program. It says that true ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the profound desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. So, being where you've been, knowing what you know now, what is your true ambition in life, both your personal life and your professional life, moving forward?
Okay.
And go.
All right. So professionally, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I was very motivated younger on in my career to move my way up, right? I was very motivated to get different experiences, do different things, to build out my resume, build out my career, to be able to kind of go anywhere, right? And I think I've successfully done that. And now I'm to a point where I really get inspired to make sure that everyone that works for me and everyone that I work with at PG&E just knows how important their work is on a daily basis, and how much I appreciate everything that they do. And I feel like if people really understand that, really understand how I feel about their work and how others feel about their work and how appreciated they are, just imagine the positive impact that it has on them, and then the positive impact they have on others. They're going to work every day knowing, hey, what I'm going to do today is really important, and my leadership really appreciates it, and so do others. And, the people I work with today, I'm going to appreciate them too, because, we're working together and we really enjoy being here, and we're doing good work. So that's kind of one of my big ambitions now, is just, a lot of positivity, a lot of appreciation for my team, because quite frankly, it's a hardworking group that I'm lucky to be a part of. So that professionally right now is what's been really fun and really engaging for me. On a personal side, we're talking, my kids are kind of starting to get to an age that they're older and a lot more self-reliant. So, if you had asked me, 5-10 years ago, what's your personal ambition? It would be just to fight the daily fight, get through the trenches. It was rough, right? With feeding and bath time and, everything else. But, my kids now Chase will be 10 this year and Kylie will be 20. So, I've got 4 kids from 10 to 20. They're very self-reliant. So now I'm really enjoying watching them succeed, seeing what opportunities they create for themselves, seeing how they do in school, how they do in sports. And so that's what I've been really, excited to see from a personal perspective. And then obviously my true ambition personally is to get to retire and enjoy the rest of my life with Nicole and see what our kids do with their lives. So that's kind of my personal true ambition walk.
Well, it's awesome. Awesome. See? So
yeah, you can do it.
So, it'll be great. I love your kids as well. And it's going to be great to see them all grow into whatever they're going to grow into. Same with me, with Johnny. It's just like, as I go through and talk to everybody on this podcast, it's really just us trying to make a better world for them. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm kind of finding out from everybody. And it's going to be really exciting to see what sport Chase goes into.
Yeah.
He loves every one of them.
He does.
So I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for doing this. And I appreciate you guys too. So thanks for being here for the True Ambition Podcast. We'll see you next time.
The True Ambition Podcast is brought to you by IT Avalon. For more information and links to other episodes, please visit www.trueambition.org. Now, go find your true ambition.